So Deuce Tremble was a 4-star defensive end out of Minnesota. Actually ended up committing to the University of Minnesota. Had a stellar college career with Minnesota. 3 seasons with the Minnesota Golden Gophers before going to the NFL, and in those 3 seasons he had 117 tackles, 16 sacks, 6 forced fumbles, and even returned a fumble for a touchdown before going to the NFL after 3 years. Well, after 3 years ends up leaving Minnesota and goes to the NFL. He was drafted by the Chicago Bears in the 3rd round, and Tremble's professional career was very promising. However, a back injury forced him to retire after just 3 years in the NFL. After some time away from football, he's decided to come back to coach. And despite his early retirement, his passion for the game never faded, and soon coaching offers started to pour in. And so now we see there are 4 teams that offered him a defensive coordinator position. The 4 teams that offered him a position to come and coach to be the defensive coordinator for this team. App State was one of them. Appalachian State Mountaineers offered him a defense coordinator position. Second team was the James Madison Dukes, also offered him a defensive coordinator position. After that, we see that Virginia Cavaliers also offered him a defense coordinator position, as well as the Hawaii Rainbow Warriors. So he's gotten 4 offers from Hawaii, Virginia, James Madison, and Appalachian State to come and to be a defensive coordinator. And after careful consideration and time with family, he decided that the team for him would be best suited in James Madison with the Dukes. The new defense coordinator for James Madison Dukes, he runs a Georgia offense, even though he won't be on offense, coaching offense the first year. He runs the pro-style Georgia offense. His defense playbook is 4-3 multiple. His alma mater, as I mentioned, was Minnesota, so therefore his pipeline state is also going to be Minnesota. He's balanced, and then on offense, he's more conservative, and on defense, he is very, very aggressive. As I mentioned before, he is 6'4", 290 pounds, and he is ready to help this James Madison defense, help this team overall just become better. And the first thing Deuce Tremble wants to do is to look at this team and to see what he can do on defense, but also look at this offense a little bit. At quarterback, they got Dylan Morris, who's a senior. After that, Alonzo Barnett III will probably start the following season. I could see Joshua Douglas or J.C. Evans getting a red shirt as freshmen. Ayo Adaye is our starting running back, with Tyler Purdy being the backup running back. Would really like to see both of these guys get plenty of playing time. Maybe use Tyler Purdy more as a receiving back than a running back. And we got a sophomore and 2 freshmen there. Receiver-wise, Tajee Hudson is our best receiver. Still not the best overall. We still have not very good depth at receiver. Tight ends, our tight ends are pretty good. Taylor Thompson and Logan Kyle. And then we got some depth there as well. Deuce Tremble really likes depth on this team, especially on the defensive side of the ball. That's what he's pushing for, is depth. He wants a lot of depth to be able to play a lot of these guys. You see our offensive line here is not the best. Carter Sweezy's probably our best offensive lineman as a sophomore, so he'll have the chance of being a really good offensive lineman for us. But the rest of the offensive lineman is just really not good. As we see here, we go to our defensive side of the ball. We've got Abi Nwabuaku Okanji, who will probably be our starter, and Terry Lockett Jr. behind him. Looking at our right end, Lloyd Summerall's probably going to be our best player on defense, one of our best players on defense as a senior. Defensive tackle, we got Emmanuel Bush and DJ Cotton, and that's just not very great players, but some that we can develop there. Outside linebacker, again, not a lot of great players at the middle linebacker position or right outside linebacker. We just don't have a great group of guys there. Corners, we do have some decent corners here in Chauncey Logan and Antoine Booth, but we only got 3 behind them, and so we would really like to see some depth pieces added in recruiting or the transfer portal this year. So we're definitely going to look at corner, adding some more depth. Free safety, we've got the depth at free safety, but we don't have great players. Landon Bolden's a senior this season. May not even get a whole lot of playing time where he's a senior. We may give it to some of these younger guys. Strong safety, same thing. We got a couple depth pieces, but just not a great roster. They are super excited about KJ Flo. They think that he's going to be a great player overall, and definitely by year 3 or year 4, an anchor for this defense. And then we round out with our kicker and our punter, who are both seniors. So we're also going to have to target those positions as well. So far, not a great team, but Deuce Tremble is super excited to work with this team, work with this defense, and make them better overall. We are going to look at the schedule for James Madison. Week 1, we're playing home against Jack State. Should be a good game. Then we go at Charlotte in week 2. Week 3, we're at home versus James Madison. Week 3 we have a bye. Week 4, we are playing at Georgia. And when we asked Coach Tremble about this decision to schedule Georgia, this is what he had to say. He said, "We're not expected to win this game. No one expects us to win this game. But we wanted to give these players a challenge. We wanted these guys to know that it is hard to play against top talent players in this league. And if they ever have a desire to make it big time, to make it to the pros, they have to be willing to go out and fight the best teams in the nation." And so that's the goal with Georgia, is to fight to push these guys to be better week in and week out. So it'll be an interesting game in week 4 as we take on Georgia. It'll be interesting to see how the players react to playing such a great team in the Georgia Bulldogs. So it's a good thing that we've got a bye in week 3 and in week 5, because we are taking Georgia in week 4. And week 6, we're playing at UL Monroe. Week 7, we're playing versus Coastal Carolina. Week 8, at Georgia Southern. Week 9, versus Southern Mississippi. Week 11, versus Georgia State. Week 12, at Old Dominion. Week 13, at Appalachian State. And week 14, versus Marshall. So that we could go after this season. We know we are going to target Jordan Boschetti, the defensive tackle from Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. We are 4th on his board currently. He's a guy that we feel like we could possibly steal away from one of those other teams. Team watch out for there would be Clemson, though. But there are a lot of options here. Timmy Mwamba, athlete, we feel like we could probably snag him as well. There are a lot of options here. Who would you guys want us to go after? Tell us who you want us to target, who you want us to try and get to play on this team in the future. We'll go through here and look at a couple players right quick. And if you see anybody that you're interested in, just feel free to put them in the comment section. And we will try our best to go after these guys. Looking at some guys that are more interested in us here. Looking at all these are 1-stars, but you know, 1-stars can develop nicely. So any of these guys that we may be interested in going after, we do know that we want to target more defensive players as a defensive minded coach. Sydney Witherspoon will target him, but more defensive minded coaches. And we'll go look in Minnesota, which is our pipeline. We'll see if there's anybody there that may be interested. Terrence Irving, the running back, we are in 5th for, so we'll look at him. That's the only guy from Minnesota that's currently interested in us. We go to Florida. we don't have a whole lot of guys. We are going to target this Javon Judy, though, who's a 2-star. I think there's a chance that we could possibly get him. But we do have 10 out of 35 targets as of right now. So we'll need to fill the rest of this board here and try and get some guys to improve this team in the future. But if y'all have any suggestions, let me know who you want us to target, and I'll see y'all back here soon for week 1 versus Jack State.